Show me the money.
Looking
Money! Jerry, does that make you feel good just to say that?
All right, show me the money. NFL picks for Week 13, a.k.a. Thanksgiving week, are here with me today to break it all down here and get ready for the Thanksgiving holiday and more. The great Joe Dalwies is back with us. Joe, how are you?
Mike, I am doing excellent. Thank you, as always. Forever thankful for you calling me up and letting me be a part of your podcast. So kudos to you. Gobble, gobble. Get ready to eat some turkey, buddy.
Yeah, I got to say, it's been a wild season. A lot has changed since we last talked back after week one.
It's a lot of unpredictability, and that's what makes the NFL the NFL. I mean, no matter you expect the unexpected on a weekly basis, and I think we're getting a lot of that this year.
Absolutely here. And one of the crazy things so far since the journey your Packers have been on here, obviously they had the big America's Game of the Week on Sunday against the 49ers. Catch a break with no Brock Purdy, take full advantage of a 38-10 win over San Francisco. Get some revenge for last year's playoff loss here. What was your big takeaways from what we saw on Sunday?
I'll tell you what, I thought Sunday's game was a huge game for the Packers, especially because of how banged up the 49ers are. I've been keeping a close eye on the Niners as a team too. Hey, if this team could get healthy, if this team starts winning games at the right time, it's a team you don't want to run into the playoffs. So to be able to, play against a very well coached team despite being injured and dominate the way that they did is very encouraging and something that you wanted to see and you needed to see, especially after the dud of a game from the Packers coming off the bye against Chicago. Right after that, lucky honestly to leave that game with a W. But I said it from the start. I hope that Green Bay would come out with some fire after the bye, and we didn't get that in that Chicago game. But it looks like we got a little bit of that spark against the 49ers. So, the crazy thing is that division is tight and nobody's losing, it seems like. So you're going to have to continue to win if everybody else is winning.
Yep, that's for sure here. And obviously they're in an interesting spot, the Packers here, because the NFC has gotten very top heavy this year based on what I'm looking at here on the standings. You got basically the two West and South divisions kind of mediocre, but you have three teams in the NFC North within 2 games of each other, with the Lions 10-1, Vikings 9-2, Packers 8-3, and a lot of chaos in the middle below them here. But I feel like Green Bay is pretty well situated right now in the playoff picture. How do you feel about where they are?
That's going to be unfortunate. The reality is you're going to have a Green Bay team that is going to have to play on the road the entire postseason and could very well end up going against opponents with a worse record and having to travel on the road. And that is always difficult in the playoffs. So, it feels great. 8-3. I'm definitely not going to be, definitely shouldn't complain about that. It's, it's going to be crazy though when it's an 8-3 team playing on a wild card, a win-loss total that's so large that, you're on the road come wild card weekend.
Yeah, it certainly is here. And obviously they're playing on Thanksgiving, which is why we got you on this week here. They got the nightcap against Miami, which has become the most intriguing game of the 3 by far. And Miami has turned things around since they got Tua back. They've won 3 in a row. They're trying to sneak into the wild card picture of the AFC. What are you watching for in this game?
Yeah, this is no gimme, especially with Tua back. It's like Miami kind of refound what they lost per se when he was out. So this is going to be a defensive game for Green Bay. There's a lot of weapons on that offensive side for Tua and company between Tyreek Hill, A-Chain, Jalen Waddle, Jonnu Smith. There's so many people that could at any moment kind of go off. Hopefully the cold weather plays. It's supposed to be cold in Green Bay, so hopefully that plays a role in the outcome, and Green Bay could kind of keep the ball on the ground and run with Josh Jacobs and just play some tough defense and sneak one out here. But it's definitely not a gimme, and they're going to have to make sure that they could contain the playmakers of the Miami Dolphins, and that's not an easy task.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at the weather right now because we know Miami is not a particular fan of the cold weather here, and I think that's going to play in your favor too. Because look at the forecast here. It's Green Bay, mostly cloudy, low around 20 degrees, and we know Miami is not like to play when it's chilly.
Yeah, it's gonna be cold, right? It's gonna be cold now. Now's the time where the weather starts to play a role. This is where the home field advantage should matter. They need this game, right? They need this game. It's an important game. Like I mentioned before, you got to keep winning if everyone else in that division is winning. It also doesn't help that you're 2 out of your 3 losses, 2 of them happen to be to the 2 teams above you in the NFC North in your own division. And then, of course, you have that your week 1 loss against Philadelphia. So you got to kind of keep on winning if everyone else is winning. There's going to be a lot of meaningful football games. Not to look ahead, but the next Thursday, Green Bay is back at it on the road against Detroit. I mean, that's a huge one. So you got to take it 1 week at a time. You can't look ahead, but they got to keep winning, and that's the most important thing here.
Yeah, that's for sure here. And before we get to our picks here, I think we should check in on our over-unders here. And Joe, you're off to a very good start this year.
Am I? I'm always nervous. I'll be honest with you. I'd be lying if I said I remember who I even picked at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, so here's what we got here. This is a very interesting board here for you. So your first pick was the Texans over 9.5. They are currently 7-5, and their play the last few weeks has been concerning, but they are in good position in a bad division.
I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for the injuries in the Texans, I think I would have hit that number very, very close to it. So it'll be interesting because they have regressed a bit, but I think that has a little bit or a lot to do with the injuries on the offensive side.
Yep. Your next pick, the Chicago Bears, under 9.5. They're currently 4-7. They need to run the table to beat you, Joe. So I think you're in good shape there.
Yeah, I love that one. I feel comfortable with that one. I will lose my mind if they, it's shockingly enough though, right? I'd lose my mind if they win on Thanksgiving, but not for nothing. It actually helps out the Packers if they do. So we'll see.
Yeah, your next pick here, you have the Eagles over 10.5. They're currently 9-2. That looks very good.
That looks very good. I'm not worried about that one. Give me the W on that one. If I don't hit that one, I'm retiring from the under over.
Yep. Your fourth one is a victory on the board for you. The 49ers under 11.5. They're currently 5-6. They cannot get to 12 wins.
Well, I'll tell you what. I am very fortunate for the injury bug. I don't like people getting injured. I care about the well-being of everyone in this world. But those injuries really played a role in that, and they're 5-6 record right now. That's a healthy team. 49ers are right up there with any of the top teams in the NFC, and really one of the top teams in the NFL.
Yep. Yeah, this is probably the one you're going to lose on the board here. The Chargers under 8.5. They're currently 7-4. I think they're probably going to get 2 more wins.
Yeah, that's one that I'm actually still surprised about, specifically because I didn't know what the expectations would be with, the college coach, the Michigan man coming in, taking over, Justin Herbert, guys leaving, a lot of unknown, but I mean, they've been able to put it together. Harbaugh's been able to put it together relatively well, even though losing that Monday night against his brother.
Yep, and the last one, I hope you bet this one because you would have cashed this one too. You have the Washington Commanders over 6.5. They're at 7-5 right now.
What I tell you about Jaden Daniels, now, despite him not playing the greatest as of the last few weeks, he did what he had to do early on to cash that ticket, baby.
Yep, you would have cashed 2 tickets. You put those 6 bets in here. My picks: the Steelers under 8.5. They're currently 8-3, so that one's not happening.
Nope.
Yep. The next one here. This one is going to happen at some point. The Giants under 6.5 wins. They're currently 2-9. They have to go 5-2 to beat me, which that's not happening with they're playing.
I think you feel very comfortable with that right now, especially with everything that's happening with New York football. I mean, New York football right now, Mike, and I don't mean to go on a tangent here, is an absolute disgrace between the New York Giants and the New York Jets. Like, I cannot believe it has gotten this bad.
Yeah,
I genuinely feel bad. Like, there's a big part of me that's like, oh my God, this is horrendous. How did this happen?
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, too, you think about it here. I also mentioned my next pick because I had the Jets over 10.5. That's a loss at 3-8. Like, you watch this situation here. It's like every week they try to find a way to outdo each other and say who's the more dysfunctional mess.
No, I know it's like their Super Bowl. The Super Bowl for these two teams is figuring out who is the most dysfunctional. Oh, you got the athletic Woody Johnson. Everybody's getting fired. They don't want Rodgers anymore. Rodgers doesn't want the Jets. Oh, hold on, though. Daniel Jones, he's out. Let's release him. Tommy DeVito, he's in. Like, what on earth is happening? I think both organizations should just completely blow it up and then just become one team, and maybe they'll have some functioning capabilities. I don't know.
Yeah, you completely missed the era where Daniel Jones played scout team safety for a day before he got cut.
I mean, it's mind blowing. I can't wrap my mind around this failed experiment with Aaron Rodgers. I'm the first one to say it. Like, and you know me, Mike. I'm a huge Aaron Rodgers guy. Loved him with the Packers. Obviously, brought so much joy. But you talk about a failed experiment to the absolute max. I mean, I can't think of another, sports failed experiment as big as this. It really, it's hard to put it all together. How did we go from potentially acquiring a former MVP caliber player to now the disaster that is the New York Jets? It's unbelievable.
Yep. That's for sure. So that's the Jets situation. That's a loss for me. The rest of the picks here I got. We went heads up on the Texans. I went under 9.5 on that one here. So my best hope here is that they continue slumping and win the division at 9-8.
Yeah, and that's possible, honestly. You look at the Texans based on how they're playing, it's definitely possible. Yeah. And not for nothing. I mean, they're going to have to play the Dolphins, the Chiefs, and the Ravens 3 weeks straight.
Yeah, and not for nothing here, I could see them lose all 3 of those games.
And they just lost to Tennessee at home, which they got to go at the end of the year and finish off the year at Tennessee, where that game could potentially, Tennessee's dead in the waters. I don't think they have a shot, even if they start playing warm, if they start playing a little bit better. But that division is so bad that you don't know what could happen towards that game. Could have some meaning and some capacity. Yeah,
and this week, I almost thought of picking the Jags this week with Trevor Lawrence coming back. You're getting 5 points. So that tells you where I feel about the Texans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The Bucks over 7.5. I'm currently 5-6. I feel good I'm going to get that one. Tampa's got a very soft schedule down the stretch.
Yeah, I think you're going to be good with that one. They went on a real horrible stretch of losing 4 in a row before getting back on it. But, you follow it up with a game against the Panthers, the Raiders, the Cowboys. You got the Panthers again. You got the Panthers twice. I mean, I think you're sitting pretty decent there as well.
And my last one is another loss on the board here. I had the Bengals over 10.5. They went 4-7. This is one of those years with them where they sort of nothing's gone right.
I'll tell you what, with this Bengals team, it's just I don't know if they're ever going to do it. Yeah. I don't know if Joe Burrow and company, I don't think they're ever going to be able to do it. I don't see it. Every year that I convince myself that, it's going to happen, it just gets worse. This is a team that I really can't figure out, and it's a shame because there's so much talent there.
There is here, and as of right now, Joe, you're in very good shape to beat me this year on this thing.
Would this be the first year ever?
I think so.
Would that negate all the lunches I owe you still?
We can discuss that off the air.
How many lunches is it at this point?
I think it's 2, so I'd say maybe cancel 1.
All right, so how about this? How about we call it a wash and we go out for dinner?
Okay, that sounds good. We can figure out details off the air, but
all right, perfect.
We'll get to the pick, which is why you're here this week here. Great friend of ours, Charlie Borges, came on here last week. He went 1-2 with his picks. He took the points with the Panthers, took the 11, and covered that easy with a chance to Carolina went out. Ended up losing out the gun to the Chiefs. He had the 49ers getting 2.5. To be fair, he picked that game before we learned about the Brock Purdy situation, so that was a loss for him. He had the Rams +3. Can't defend that one too much, so 1-2 for Charlie.
How are you doing overall against the competitors here?
It's a very tight one. I'll give you the full lines in a second here. I had 2-1 last week. I took Charlie's Bucks laying the 5.5 against the Giants. They covered that one easily. I took the Chicago Bears getting the hook against the Vikings. That proved to be huge. They lose by a field goal in overtime. I bet your Commanders, Joe, with the 10.5 against Washington, against the Cowboys. They ended up losing that game with a wild finish. So 2-1 for me last week.
Wild.
And you want to hear tight standings? Here's what we got here on the year. Team challengers is 19-17.
Uh-oh.
I am 20-15-1. I pushed with the Colts in week 1. That's the push. So very tight.
Wow. It is a tight race. This week, yeah, I feel the pressure after hearing where you stand and where the challengers stand.
Yeah.
A nice 3-0 week. You're going to be feeling the heat.
Yeah, I basically have a lot of 2-1s this year. A lot of them.
Hey, that's enough to get you going, though. That's a positive.
Yep. So as the guest, Joe, you can go first. Where are you going with pick number 1?
I was just talking about the complete dysfunction and disarray of New York football. But I begin with New York football, and I'm taking the Jets at home, plus 2.5 against the Seahawks. Now, the only reason why I'm taking this game, I'm taking the Jets, is based off of what's happening. We keep hearing different stories here and there. I really think Aaron Rodgers gets benched, throwing backup quarterback, Jets end up winning this game.
So you're banking on the benching for your pick here.
I'm banking on the benching. I think it's so dysfunctional at this point that the only thing that's really on the table and next is them actually benching Aaron Rodgers, and I think we're very close to seeing that.
Yeah.
I think it happens this week.
I disagree that's happening this week here, and this is something I cannot pick the Jets. I cannot endorse picking the Jets, especially with the way they've looked, coming off a bye, no less, and you know how bad they are off with the extra rest. So I think Aaron Rodgers' ego is going to be too much for them to I don't see anybody in that room having the stones to go bench him right now with how they're playing. So I think this is a bad call on your part, but we will see if you're wrong. If I'm wrong,
we shall see. We shall see.
All right, where are you going to pick 2?
All right, pick 2 is not the way. All right, let's start with pick 2. Pick 2 is not the way you pick. I'm going a little bit hurt psychology. I'm thinking the Vikings on the road -3.5 against the Arizona Cardinals. The reason why I'm doing that is because if it hits, great. If it doesn't hit, hoorah, as long as they lose and it helps the defense. That's a lot. But I also do think that the Vikings are, a well-oiled machine, and I think they shouldn't have an issue taking on Arizona, who's coming to Minnesota, and beating them pretty easily. So I think 3.5 is that perfect number. We need, a little bit more than a field goal, a little less than a touchdown. I think they get it done.
Yeah, the hook scares me in this game. That's why I didn't touch it, because I thought about it. I was like, I do not like the 3.5 with the Vikings. I feel like I can see this again being a field goal game.
I mean, it very well could be. Like I said, I'm going for the reverse psychology. If I get hit in the ass by it, I hope the Arizona Cardinals end up winning, and it helps the Packers out.
All right, so we're going with your last pick of the week.
All right, last pick of the week, I am going with the Colts. -2.5 on the road against the Patriots. The Patriots are a bad football team. The Colts aren't a great football team, but I like what I've seen from Anthony Richardson over the last couple of weeks. I think that benching really helped. I think we're seeing him do a little bit of everything through the air, on the ground. And I just think they're a better football team than New England. Another team that's not talked about enough in their dysfunction and what's happening there. So I do like the Colts on the road.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot, too. I'm somebody who firsthand saw what the benching did for Anthony Richardson here. I think they're in good shape to try and make a push to that last wildcard spot in the AFC, especially if they beat the Broncos a couple of weeks. But the Patriots are their own mess that doesn't get talked about because of this function in the Northeast corridor with the two New York teams.
I mean, if you really look at how bad the Patriots have been, the only wins are against bad football teams. Like, I'm going to ignore week 1 against the Bengals, but they beat the Jets and they beat the Bears. Like, they haven't beat anybody. This is a really bad football team. Really bad football. I do think the Colts can come to Foxborough and get that win and cover.
All right, so your picks are on the board here. I'm going to go now. My first pick here, I'm going to go to Thanksgiving here. I'm going to take the Cowboys laying the 4 points against the Giants in the middle game of the day here. This is one here. This is based on what I'm seeing out of the Giants here. This is a team that looks like they do not care to play for the coach. They look dead. Tommy DeVito is not a good quarterback. We saw this last year, and the trends can continue in Thanksgiving here. I think the Cowboys do have some pride. They're not going to want to lose a home game on Thanksgiving to the New York Football Giants. I think this is a double-digit win for Dallas. I think they are more motivated to come out and play this game than the Giants are. So give me Dallas laying the 4 on Turkey Day. Pick 1.
Gobble. Okay, I hear you, Mike.
Yeah. Pick 1. Pick 2. We're going head-to-head in the Jet game. I'm laying the points with Seattle. It's less than a field goal here. I don't know why it's this close. I know you have the travel element as well. Seattle playing at 1 o'clock, which I do not love here, but Gino will love to stick it to the Jets after how they screw up the start of his career. It's an important game for them. They're in first place in the NFC West right now on a tiebreaker. They need to win to keep pace with everybody else. The Jets, until they show me otherwise, picking against them every opportunity they get, especially when the line is this close. I will take the Seahawks and go against you here.
I'll tell you what, if they don't bench Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to be really in trouble with this one. But, again, this is your typical where, hey, there's such dysfunction, and all of a sudden they figure out how to win by a point.
All right, and pick 2. Pick 3, going to Sunday Night Football here. I'm taking the Bills, laying the 6.5 against San Francisco here. Something is not right with the 49ers this year. It's the injuries. Their defense has not been the same. They've had a lot of issues on offense. Christian McCaffrey has not looked great since he came back from the Achilles tendonitis here. This just feels like one of those years for the 49ers where it's not going to happen for them. They go to Buffalo, who's laying less than a touchdown. The Bills have been on fire of late. They won 6 in a row. They beat the Chiefs, the only loss of the year here, and they got to keep pace of Kansas City to have a shot at home field. I think this is a spot where Buffalo comes out, wins big. San Francisco heads out back west saying, oh boy, this is going to get very bad very fast. So give me the Bills on Sunday as the last pick of the week.
Yeah, this is a really good Bills football team, man. And the way that San Fran's been playing, I could see that happening.
All right, so to reset the picks here, Joe has gone with the Jets, benching Aaron Rodgers, getting 2.5 against the Seahawks. The Vikings laying 3.5 at home against the Cardinals. And the Colts laying 2.5 at Foxborough against the Patriots. My picks, I took the Cowboys laying 4 against the New York Football Giants on Thanksgiving. The Seahawks laying with 2.5 against the Jets at MetLife, going heads up with Joe there. And the Bills laying 6.5 on Sunday night against the San Francisco 49ers. Those are your picks for week 13 here on the podcast. And coming up here next week, I'm going to be joined by great Christopher Russo, my buddy from the hockey spaces here. So we're going to talk some New York football next week with Chris.
Wow, you got me really amped up. I thought you were talking about Mad Dog Russo.
I don't have I don't have that kind of pull.
I was going to say I'm honored to be a guest on a podcast that also Mad Dog's on. Wow.
Yeah, I don't have those connections. I have Christopher Russo, not Chris Russo.
All right, I mean it's close enough. Come on, give yourself some credit, Mike. How many episodes is this now?
In the 460s.
In the 460s, yeah, like it's an easy thing to accomplish. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well,
Mike, what do you got for Thanksgiving? Are we turkey? Are we a ham? What are we?
It's always turkey.
What are we? Always turkey?
Yeah, always the turkey.
Is the ham served?
The ham is not served.
No ham at all?
No ham at all.
That's what I like to hear. Turkey only.
Turkey and a lot of sides.
Favorite side? Go.
Sweet potato casserole.
Oh, wow. I did not see that one coming. Why?
Because I have a sweet tooth, so that sort of pulls me in.
Okay. I get it. The sweet tooth. I get it. Okay.
Yeah, because they got the sweet potatoes and the marshmallows. Like that's like always a winner.
Okay. Hey, you definitely convinced me there. That's all I needed to hear.
Yeah. What's your pick?
Oh, it's always turkey, never ham.
No, I meant
number one
on the sides.
Oh, the sides. Oh, give me stuffing.
Yeah, stuffing.
You could prepare stuff. You could prepare stuffing in so many different ways, no matter how you prepare it. Oh, it's delicious. I can eat stuffing every day.
Yeah, it's funny too because I went to Citi Field in September. Me and a couple of my buddies, we have a 20-game plan. We upgraded our seats for our September game to the Hyundai Club, and we went. They were serving Thanksgiving food as the buffet food. So I got an early Thanksgiving sample in September.
I'll tell you what, I haven't had any samples for Thanksgiving food yet this year. So I'm ready to go all in, sit my ass on a couch, and eat a ton of food, get a bellyache, take a real nice nap because these football games early on aren't going to be the greatest, and then be ready for my pack.
Hey, at least the NFL did you a favor here. You could take a nap during Cowboys-Giants after you eat.
Oh, thank goodness. The only thing that would have kept me up, if Jerry Jones signed Daniel Jones and started him. that's appointment television right there.
Yeah, that's for sure, Joe. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it. People I'll follow you on social media. How can they do that?
Mike, they can give me a shout on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at Joe _DALLOISIO.
All right, Joe. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving.
Mike, happy Thanksgiving. Always a pleasure, and we'll talk soon.